in skies that were never meant to cross. 3 generations of jet fighters found themselves sharing the same battle space. A Mirage from the Cold War's twilight, an F-16 fine-tuned through decades of combat, and a Su-35 Russia's air dominance predator built for the modern electronic battlefield. The encounter wasn't planned. It was a collision of doctrines, of national pride, and of technology pushed to its limits. Radar signatures flickered, jammers screamed, and within seconds, the engagement devolved into what pilots call the merge, a close-in knife fight where aerodynamics, instinct, and nerve mean everything. Yet this merge shouldn't have existed at all. Not in this airspace, not in this century. Before we continue, where are you watching from today? Comment below. Set the stage in a tense air theater where multiple nations' aircraft operate dangerously close, a gray zone of patrols, escorts, and deterrence flights. Introduce the Mirage 2000 legacy but agile, the F-16 multi-role backbone of Western airpower, and the Su-35 Russia's advanced air superiority fighter. Explain the strategic backdrop, contested airspace, political ambiguity, and the risk of escalation. Establish why such aircraft should never meet in direct combat, yet circumstances make it inevitable. Explore operational patterns, NATO's persistent reconnaissance patrols, regional air policing, and Russian forward air presence. Highlight rising tensions, ambiguous rules of engagement, and how mixed air groups end up sharing the same operational corridors. Introduce flight cal scenes and pilots, each representing a doctrine. Build human tension as they receive scrambled orders amid unclear objectives. Describe radar contacts forming on multiple screens. Identify how electronic warfare clouds IFF signals and forces visual confirmation. Mirage and F-16 pilots enter a complex air picture, unaware that a Su-35 is lurking above them, hunting in passive mode. This section builds suspense through cockpit dialogue, situational confusion, and the sense of a collision course forming. Detailed comparison, radar ranges, missile envelopes AIM-120, MICAR-77, sensor fusion, and dogfight handling characteristics. Explain how each aircraft's doctrine defines its behavior. Mirage as a defensive fencer, F-16 as a multi-role brawler, and Su-35 as a high-energy hunter. Include mini flashbacks to pilot training philosophies, and as all 3 aircraft visually acquire each other, the merge begins. For a heartbeat, the sky froze. 3 aircraft, 3 doctrines hung in a moment that felt like suspended fate. The Mirage 2000's pilot, Falcon 2, saw both his radar and instincts screaming at once. To his right, the F-16 steadied after a violent brake turn, its pilot calculating whether his last AIM-120 shot had found its mark. Above them, the Su-35 arced through a vertical climb, its thrust-vectoring engines hurling it into a temporary blind spot. Intentional, deliberate, allure, breathing slowed. Each pilot recalibrated in silence broken only by the cockpit's warning tones. The Mirage's fuel light blinked amber. The F-16's countermeasure system flickered. The Su-35's radar reset from passive to active mode, flooding the battle space with new energy. The merge, once chaos, now felt like a duel between endurance and instinct, then movement. The Su-35 dived, unleashing a short-range R-73. The missile streaked past the F-16, exploding harmlessly but scattering flares and nerves alike. Falcon 2 used the distraction, rolling low and pulling away under the F-16's radar cone. For the first time, distance returned between the fighters. They'd survived the initial storm. Command voices crackled in, strained but urgent: stand down, regroup, identify targets. Yet none of them fully obeyed. In their heads, the battle wasn't over, it had only paused. 3 men, 3 machines, each now weighing survival against duty, knowing the next pass might not leave any room for hesitation. The pause shattered in an instant. A distant growl from the F-16's GE engine signaled the next round. Viper 1 banked hard, climbing through the haze, searching for the Su-35's infrared plume. His radar picked up faint returns, to faint, to clean. The Su-35 was masking its presence again, using cloud cover and electronic decoys to paint ghosts across the scope. Somewhere below, the Mirage 2000 steadied, conserving fuel and relying solely on optical cues. It was a 3-dimensional chessboard played at supersonic speed. A WACS controller scrambled to regain control of the air picture. Viper 1, clean up and disengage, the voice urged, but disengagement was impossible. The Su-35 had looped behind the F-16, accelerating into an offensive spiral. Sensors blinked red. The F-16 dropped flares and dove low, forcing the Russian fighter into denser air where its thrust-vectoring advantage dulled. Falcon 2, the Mirage pilot, saw an opening. He climbed to medium altitude and locked his Mach-IR missile onto the Su-35's heat signature, tone. His finger hovered, but he hesitated. The Su-35's movement wasn't random. It was herding, drawing the F-16 into a pre-calculated kill zone. One wrong shot, and the missile could as easily hit the wrong target. Then came the roar. The Su-35 fired another R-73. this time forcing the F-16 to pull a 9G turn so violent the pilot nearly blacked out. He recovered just in time to snap launch an AIM-9X back over his shoulder, a desperate blind shot relying purely on heat-seeker instinct. The missile tracked briefly, lost lock, and spiraled harmlessly into the gray horizon. In that chaos, Falcon dove between both jets, cutting across their flight paths, a reckless move that forced the Su-35 to break high, bleeding energy. For the first time, the Russian pilot lost initiative. The F-16 regrouped, sensors recalibrating. The air war's balance shifted, fragile yet real, to pick the turning point. A desperate dogfight at low altitude where one misjudged roll decides everything. The F-16 pilot locks on first. The Su-35 counters with a deceptive radar maneuver. The Mirage, forgotten for seconds, reappears at the edge of the engagement zone with a missile tone. Build tension to a singular moment of simultaneous missile launches, an impossible triangle of lethal intent. Describe the outcome without revealing clear winners. Focus instead on what survives the ejection flare. The silence overcomes. The AWACS controllers whispering disbelief. Analyze how tactical superiority met strategic miscalculation. The merge ends, but political and doctrinal aftershocks begin. Step back from the action. Dissect what the engagement reveals about interoperability, overconfidence, and the dangers of legacy aircraft in modern electronic warfare. Include analysis of command decisions, doctrine mismatches, and lessons for future multinational operations. End with a reflective tone, the pilot's debriefs, political spin, and the growing realization among defense planners. This was not a victory, but a warning. Look toward future doctrines, AI-assisted dogfights, drone escorts, and how mixed-generation merges may become increasingly common in unstable regions. End with a haunting line suggesting that in modern warfare, even the skies have ghosts of old rivalries.